Hi, my name is Nomatamsa Ngumdlazi. I create content on mental wellness and personal development. And in this video, I want to share with you 10 lessons from the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. This is a truly powerful book, and I want to advise you to get yourself a copy of this book because it is a truly powerful book. It teaches us the ability to just protect and defend ourselves against power itself. So before we start on this conversation, let me share with you 3 different quotes from Robert Greene, the 48 Laws of Power. The first one is, if the game of power is inescapable, better to be an artist rather than a denier or a bungler, right? So the best thing is to be able to maneuver around power itself, because all of us, we're just caught up into a certain level of power. It's either you're in the level of authority or you just have to submit to power, right? So all of us have to just get to be truly creative about power itself. And then the second one is, impatience, on the other hand, only makes you look weak. It is a principal impediment to power, right? So it is very important for all of us to be truly intentional about learning to be patient, right? Learn impatience itself, because it is just an impediment to power. We have to understand how to learn to just be creative about being patient and understand the art of patience itself, right? So he says that never waste valuable time or mental peace of mind on the affairs of others. That is too high price to pay, right? So focus all your energy in trying really to build yourself as a person. Focus all your energy on the things that actually matter to you as a person, and not those that are the affairs of other people, because it is just a too high price to pay. You don't want to waste most of your time thinking about the things that people say to you or either to other people, but you want to spend most of your energy trying to figure out things. You just want to react to the things instead of trying to react to things. You actually work so hard to dictate your energy the way you want it, right? Instead of trying to react to quite a lot of things in life. So these lessons are derived from Law 21 until Law 30 of the 48 Laws of Power, right? So the first one is, play a sucker to catch a sucker. Seem dumber than your mark. Right. So basically, this means that you shouldn't be trying to look intelligent wherever you are, right? At some point, you should try to look meek, just look soft to a certain level, right? So he says that no one likes feeling stupider than the next person. The trick then is to make your victims feel smart, and not just smart, but smarter than you are, right? Once convinced of this, they will never suspect that you may have ulterior moves, right? So it is a good thing that at some point as a person, you just dump on your brilliance. You focus on what it is that you should be focusing, right? Instead of trying to really always seem intelligent in quite a lot of these instances, right? Because at the end of the day, if you could be smart to this level where you could seem dumber than the next person, it means that you could be able to actually attain some of the things that you want as a person, right? So he says that as you climb the ladder, however, you should to some degree try to dampen your brilliance, right? It is very important for you at some point to just dampen your brilliance as a person without really trying so hard that you seem intelligent, you seem smart wherever you are. At some point, there is a level where you should dampen your brilliance so that you could just actually attract certain people that you wouldn't have thought, because now you show humility to a certain level, right? So Law 22 says that use the surrender tactic, transform weakness into power, right? I think it's more like the other one, but he says here, when you are weaker, never fight for honor's sake, choose surrender instead. So there's certain battles in life where we always get caught up into, right? And we just struggle to navigate the entire situations, right? Simply because we're not ready to just surrender to the situation and make your opponent actually seem brilliant, or to have won whatever battle it is that you're actually struggling with at that point, right? So, and then he says that weakness is no sin and can even become a strength if you learn how to play it right. This is very important. You can't seem brilliant, you can't seem smarter or just outshining a lot of people every time at any given point in your life, right? There is a level where you should seem weak, you should seem meek, right? Instead of really trying to always just outshine other people, right? So he says that never sacrifice that time in exchange for honor in a battle that you cannot win, right? So just fully focus on the ability to just understand that you should never sacrifice your time in exchange for honor in a battle you know clearly, you know very well that you won't win. So just don't even indulge yourself in that battle, right? So he says as well that, but the next time someone pushes you and you find yourself starting to react, try this. Do not resist or fight back, but yield, turn the other cheek, bend. You will find that this often neutralizes their behavior, right? Because now they feel that you surrender to whatever trick that they're actually giving to you, whatever hard time that they're actually giving it to you, you're just actually surrendering. So it means that even your opponent as well does not necessarily have to put in much pressure, more effort in trying to destroy you, right? Because now you surrender. It means that you bow before them, right? So law 23, it says that concentrate your forces, right? Conserve your forces and energies by keeping them concentrated at their strongest point. Gain more by finding a rich mine and mining it deeper than by flirting from one shallow mine to another. Intensity defeats extensity every time, right? So this means that whatever it is that you do as a person, just concentrate your forces, focus on one thing and actually get done with it. This also reminds me of a quote by Naval Ravikant, where he talks about the fact that as a person you should not have too many desires, right? It is important for you to focus on one desire. That is how you could actually manifest your things in life. If you're able to focus on one desire, you concentrate your forces, you focus on what it is that you should be doing as a person. All your mental energies, your emotional, your energy itself, the rest of your energies are just focused on one project, and that is how you will be able to manifest such beautiful things in your life, right? And then he says that to more concentrated forms of thought and addiction, as Schopenhauer wrote, intellect is a magnitude of intensity, not a magnitude of extensity, right? It is important for you to understand that for you to master anything, then you should have an intense, deeper understanding in that pursuit, right? For you to master it to a greater level, right? So he says that concentrate on a single goal, a single task, and beat it into submission, right? So this is how you live, this is how you free yourself as a person, mentally, emotionally, just by the ability to fully focus on one goal, one mission. You stick by it until you beat it to submission. You actually get done with the project instead of having a lot of many things that you should be doing all at once, which is very confusing and it is highly distracting for the mind, because now you can't fully focus on one thing. Your heart and all your energies are not fully focused on one project as a person, right? So he says that finally, being too single-minded in purpose can make you an intolerable bore, especially in the arts, right? So basically what this means is that as a person, as a creative, you should understand that your potential is unlimited, right? There's quite a lot of things that you could always do as a person, and if you want to focus your energy in doing this, then probably if there is an opportunity for something else in the long run, then you shouldn't be afraid to shift quite a bit to focus on the other opportunity for certain things, right? For an example, if you're an actor, potentially you could be able to sing. What if you tried singing and then you'll realize that singing might just help you bloom your career to a certain level, right? Because now that is just the art of creativity itself. As an artist, you shouldn't focus on one thing. If maybe you're a writer, you shouldn't be focused on writing books only, but you should have the energy and the willingness to shift your perspective for certain things so that you find better opportunities, right? So law 24 says that play the perfect courtier, right? Play the perfect friend or whatever, perfect companion, right? So he says that he has mastered the art of indirection. He flatters, yields to superiors, and asserts powers over others in the most oblique and graceful manner. Learn and apply the laws of courtiership, and there will be no limit to how far you can rise in the court, right? So this basically means that all of us should learn to be a perfect companion, understand how to be more friendly to other people, to flatter them, to make them feel good in your presence. That is how you win people's heart, and therefore that is how you will climb the ladder to a certain level and just be the best in that kind of situation, in any given situation. It's either in family, it's work, wherever, because now you understand how to make certain people feel good in your presence, right? So he says, be careful, ever so careful, in trumpeting your own achievements, and always talk less about yourself than about other people. Modesty is generally preferable, right? It is very important for you as a person to understand how important it is never to be flaunting yourself in these conversations with your counterparts, right? Just focus on really being modest as a person and not try too hard to just be flaunting your ideas and your intelligence, just talking about yourself every now and then. It will not help you going forward. It will not serve you and other people, because the truth is that other people don't really even care. They just don't care. They just watch you because you're just full of yourself, just flaunting yourself in those conversations. But at the end of the day, it does not necessarily mean that they will start to respect you. They will bow before you because now you're showing superiority to them, or just flaunting your ideas, flaunting your brilliance. You'll just seem dumber. That's what I think, because now they will lose a certain level of respect, and some of them will actually try to investigate some of the things that you say about yourself, right? So I think the best thing is really never to talk too much about yourself, but at least just talk general, just be able to have general conversations with other people without necessarily talking too much about yourself, right? So he says that never seem to be working too hard. Your talent must appear to flow naturally with an ease that makes people take you for a genius rather than a workaholic, right? So this is a relevant point. So you shouldn't be trying too hard to seem as if you are a hardworking person. We are trying to prove a point, but it is important for you to be assertive and just fully focus on what it is that you should be doing, without necessarily trying to pose as if you are a hardworking person. You are a workaholic, right? But you're just assertive. You fully focus on that project. That is how people will gain a level of respect towards you, because now you don't try to prove a point before them, but you fully focus on the project itself. And guess what? The results at the end of the day will show up, right? Because now it means that you do know whatever it is that you're doing, even if you're not trying to be busy before them. to just be flaunting your ideas, right? So he says that you must change your style and your way of speaking to suit each person. This is not lying, it is acting, and acting is an art, not a gift from God. Learn the art, right? So this is very important. That is how you charm people, because you understand how to talk to different people in different ways. You don't relate to certain people the way you relate to other people, right? You always show a level of respect, yes, throughout those conversations, but you understand how you present yourself before these different people. You understand how important it is for you to, when you are in a company of your friends, it may not necessarily be the case. You may not necessarily converse the very same way when you are in a company where it's a room of people who are above you. It's either it's your superiors or it's in church, your pastors, right? So it's a different approach, a different conversation itself. So you should be able to understand how important it is for you to just be able to change your style and the way you talk and relate to other people, right? So he says that you must learn, however, to couch your advice and criticism as indirectly, as politely as possible. That is one thing that will always save you in life, the ability to share your criticism as indirectly and politely as possible, right? Because now you don't try to make the person feel bad for whatever it is that they did, but indirectly so you try to show that indirectly, politely so, you're trying to show that person that whatever it is, it was wrong, right? So he says you must be the mirror, training your mind to try to see yourself as others see you, right? It is important for you to try to just see this upside glance at yourself throughout your life, so that you see how other people perceive you to a certain level. That is such a beautiful way to reflect yourself as the other person may be seeing you, to try really to see. That is how you could be able to point out your mistakes as a person, or to know I shouldn't have done that, right? So he says be observant about yourself and you will avoid a mountain of blunders, right? That is how you avoid a lot of things, by trying really to be observant of the things that you're doing as a person, how you relate to other people, how you talk to others, how you engage with other people, right? And then law 25 says recreate yourself. I can't state how important this is, because as a person, as a people, just as an individual, right, we constantly evolve, we constantly change, right? There is nothing that is always one at any given point, every time, right? It is important for you to continue to redefine yourself as a person, continue to reinvent yourself as a person, because now if you always want to bring your old version of self in the presence, that is how you will keep struggling in quite a lot of things. That is how we will struggle really mentally, emotionally, in quite a lot of things, simply because you fail to recreate yourself as a person, right? So he says here, be the master of your own image rather than letting others define it for you. Incorporate dramatic services into your public gestures and actions. Your power will be enhanced and your character will seem larger than life, right? It is important for you as a person to continue to define yourself the way you want to be perceived, the way you want to define yourself. Be able to listen to the inner voice such that you understand how the best way, the best strategy to define yourself as a person, right? And then he says that the character you seem to have been born with is not necessarily who you are. Beyond the characteristics you have inherited, your parents, your friends, and your peers have helped to shape your personality, right? That is why it is important for you to continue to redefine yourself at any given moment in your life. You should understand that not everything ihlala ihleli, right? You are constantly changing, you are evolving as a person, and you need that mindset shift as well to understand how important it is for you to continue to reinvent yourself, to redefine yourself at any given point in your life, right? Because even your personality itself, it may have been influenced by the people you spend most of your time with. So now you can't define yourself through a personality itself. Just continue to reinvent yourself as a person. Because there's this lady who also spoke about how a personality, it is such a box, right? We always box ourselves in personalities, and we don't really get to see outside our outside version, outside the box. We can't really figure out certain things about ourselves simply because we've boxed ourselves into a specific personality. We are afraid, actually. We're just afraid, if I do this, how will people perceive me? Right? That is just a distracting way to live. Just fully focus on really the ability to reinvent yourself, to redefine yourself as a person, right? So the first step in the process of self-creation is self-consciousness. Being aware of yourself as an actor and taking control of your appearance and emotions, right? So it is important for you to be intentional about learning to understand self-awareness, just self-consciousness. Be highly conscious of everything that you do. That will help you constantly for you to be able to take control of how you appear, and even in terms of emotions as well, right? So he says that no ruler or leader could possibly play the part if all of the emotions he showed had to be real, right? So learn self-control. Adopt the plasticity of the actor who can mold his or her face to the emotion required. That is what we need to just survive in life, to be able to constantly alter how we look to certain people, so that we could be perceived the way we want to be perceived at the end of the day, right? And not to be just flaunting or just showing up our emotions every now and then, because now people will start to perceive us certain way of which we don't really want to be perceived that way, right? It is important for us to be truly intentional about understanding how important it is for us to try to be real and understand self-control at the core of this, right? So he says that remember that overreacting can be counterproductive. It is another way of spending too much effort trying to attract attention, right? So it is important to try not to overreact in quite a lot of these things. Just try to preserve your energy in really the most important things, and just try to solve the problem if you can, right? Then finally, learn to play many roles to be whatever the moment requires. Adopt your task to the situation. Be protein in the faces you wear, right? It is important for all of us to understand how important it is that we have different roles to certain people, and we should be able to play those roles accordingly, right? Law 26 says that keep your hands clean, right? So your hands are never soiled by mistakes and nasty deeds. Maintain such a spotless appearance, right? So just try to just keep your hands clean in quite a lot of these things. Just focus on your effort and trying to keep your hands clean. It says that it is an extremely human response to not look inward after a mistake or crime, but rather to look outward and to affix blame and guilt on a convenient project. It is just the nature of it, right? Since we always do some dirty stuff in life, and then we want other people to account for such things, to pay the price for such things, which is just unfair to a certain level, but it's just the nature of things, right? So he says that truly powerful people keep their hands clean. They don't want to take responsibility for certain things. We always see this in politics. That's just how it ends. It ends very badly. He says that the truly powerful, on the other hand, seem never to be in a hurry or overburdened. That is such a powerful pose, to just pose as if nothing is going on, you don't seem to be struggling in one way or another. That is just truly the ability to adapt just this power as a person. That the truly powerful people, on the other hand, never seem to be in a hurry or just overburdened. Law 27 says that play on people's need to believe to create a cult-like following, right? Keep your words vague but full of promise. Emphasize enthusiasm over rationality and clear thinking. So law 28, he says that enter action with boldness, right? Any mistakes you commit through audacity are easily corrected with more audacity. Everyone admires the bold, no one honors the timid, right? He says that, but entering action with boldness has the magical effect of hiding our deficiencies. This means that other people, you create this outside appearance, you create this aura that you could be trusted, even if you do have deficiencies in one way or another, with how you feel or maybe you have certain insecurities as a person. But just entering any action with boldness, it makes people trust you, right? And then he also says that the bold move makes you seem larger and more powerful than you are. It is very important for us to enter life, to enter any pursuit with boldness, because now you could just seem more powerful than you are as a person, right? Enter an action with less than total confidence. You set up obstacles in your own path. He says that if you enter action with less than total confidence, you set up obstacles in your own path, right? If you enter action without so much, without required level of confidence, then you will struggle. You will struggle literally, and you create obstacles in that pursuit for yourself, right? So in seduction, hesitation is fatal. It makes you victim conscious of your intentions, right? He says that boldness gives you presence and makes you seem larger than life. Spoke to the point without betraying shame or inferiority. It is important with how you show up, you tell your story to other people, because now you don't want to be showing inferiority to other people, but to just be able to share your idea, right? So the bolder the attack, the more you stand out from the crowd and the more admiration you earn. Society is full of those who think daring thoughts but lack the guts to print and publicize them, right? You must practice and develop your boldness. Boldness directs attention outward and keeps the illusion alive, right? He says that if boldness is not natural, neither is timidity. It is an acquired habit, picked out of a desire to avoid conflict. If timidity has taken hold of you, then root it out. Your fears of the consequences of a bold action are way of proportion to reality. And in fact, the consequences of timidity are worse. Your value is lowered and you create yourself you create a self-fulfilling cycle of doubt and disaster. Remember, the problem created by an audacious move can be disguised, even remedied, by more and greater audacity, right? So just understand that how important boldness it is, right? It creates so much hope. Whatever it is that anyone does with a level of boldness, it just gives us so much hope. It just gives us so much interest. It is truly interesting to watch a bold individual taking through the pursuit. It's either in sport or wherever, or in music, wherever. Just boldness itself, it has this capacity to give us so much interest. It is just interesting. It gives a level of hope. He says that boldness should never be the strategy behind all your actions. It is a tactical instrument to be used at the right time. So it is important for you as a person to understand how important it is to know when it is the right time for you to show your boldness in any pursuit, right? Because not all circumstances should be entered or should be pursued in boldness, right? To go through life armed only with audacity would be tiring and also fatal. You would offend too many people, as is proven by those who cannot control their boldness. This is a point perfectly true. He lost the ability to tell when boldness was appropriate and when it was not. And we should learn really to understand when boldness is important for that pursuit, and to know when it is not necessarily in demand for whatever pursuit, the way we should just be timid and just relax in that pursuit. Because now if we are too bold, it means that we might offend a lot of people, and that is what we want to constantly run away from, offending people, right? Law 29 says that plan all the way to the end, right? So in whatever it is that you do, just try really to plan from the beginning up until the end. He says that by planning to the end, you will not be overwhelmed by circumstances, and you will know when to stop. Gently guide fortune and help determine the future by thinking far ahead, right? There are very few men, and they are the exceptions, who are able to think and feel beyond the present moment, right? So he says, do nothing without a regard to the consequences, right? So it is important for all of us to learn the ability to plan whatever it is that you're planning. Plan how do you want to do it, how you want to execute the plan, how you want to execute that project, so that at the end of the day you don't get overwhelmed in that process, and you actually know what it is that you should be doing at this time for this specific moment in that project, right? So he says that never begin anything until you have reflected what will be the end of it. This is wisdom. You need wisdom to understand that you can't do anything without any regard for consequences, or without any regard for how things will end up in the end, right? So he says that those among us who think further ahead and patiently bring their plans to fruition seem to have a godlike power, because most people are too imprisoned in the moment to plan with this kind of foresight. The ability to ignore immediate dangers and pleasures translates into power. It is the power of being able to overcome the natural human tendency to react to things as they happen, and instead to train oneself to step back, imagining the larger things taking shape beyond one's immediate vision. Most people believe that they are in fact aware of the future, that they are planning and thinking ahead. They are just usually deluded. Their plans are vague, based on their imaginations rather than reality, right? So that's Robert Greene. Robert Greene is highly articulate, He knows how to articulate himself to a greater level, such that you understand clearly what he does meant in anything he does. Like his writings are just fascinating. This book is just literally amazing. So he says that so much of power is not what you do, but what you do not do. The rash and foolish actions that you refrain from before they get you into trouble, right? It is such a beautiful way to understand how important it is for us to refrain from actions we know that at the end of the day they will get us into trouble, right? We shouldn't insult certain people. You shouldn't insult people simply for the fact that we understand that at the end of the day we might have to pay, we might have to bear the consequences for that actions, right? So he says that your clarity will rid you of the anxiety and vagueness that are the primary reasons why so many fail to conclude their actions successfully. You see the ending and you tolerate no deviation. That is the important side of it. It is a cliche among strategies that your plan must include alternatives and have a degree of flexibility, right? So you could be able to adjust and figure out certain things as well. That it is certainly true. If you are locked into a plan too rigidly, you will be unable to deal with sudden shifts of fortune. And you should be able to just maneuver and see through fortune in different areas, right? You should be able to see. Once you have examined the future possibilities and decided on your target, you must build in alternatives and be open to new routes towards your goal, right? It is the same way. This principle also applies in business and in whatever it is that you do. You don't fully focus on one thing, wire, but you have to know when there could be potentially opportunities around outside that, right? Most people, however, lose less from over planning and rigidity than from vagueness and a tendency to improvise constantly in the face of circumstances, right? So law number 30 says that make your accomplishments seem effortless, right? Don't be trying to show how much of a hardworking, how much of a workaholic you are as a person, but make all your accomplishments seem effortless without so much effort from your side, right? He says that your actions must seem natural and executed with ease. All the toil and practice that go into them, and also all the clever tricks must be concealed. When you act effortlessly as if you could do much more. Avoid the temptation of revealing how hard you work. It only raises questions. This is a fact. I said this, that Robert Greene is highly articulate and he knows how to express the truth itself, right? So he says that nature does not reveal its tricks, and what imitates nature by appearing effortless approximates nature's power, right? So he says that keep the extent of your abilities unknown. So never expose the sweat and labor behind your poise. Keep your effort and your tricks to yourself, and you seem to have the grace and ease of a god. One never sees the source of God's power revealed. One only sees its effect, right? So your public actions are like artworks. They must have visual appeal, must create anticipation, and even entertain, right? So you shouldn't be revealing how much of a hardworking you are as a person, because that will not entertain such other people, right? Avoid the temptation of showing how clever you are. It is far more clever to conceal the mechanisms of your cleverness, right? Just conceal those mechanisms that show you to be more like of a clever person. Just dampen your brilliance at some point, right? The more mystery surround your actions, the more awesome your power seems. You appear to be the only one who can do what you do, and the appearance of having an exclusive gift is immensely powerful. Just embrace that gift and not really being shy or afraid about showing up how you yourself to other people, but at the same time you understand the level or in that pursuit, right? You shouldn't be flaunting your brilliance where it is just unnecessary to a certain level, right? So he says that always keep your sense of humor about yourself. Just your sense of humor has to be authentic. It has to be original. It has to come from you, from your authentic self, right? So as long as the partial disclosure of tricks and techniques is carefully planned rather than the results of an uncontrollable need to blab, it is the ultimate cleverness, right? It gives the audience the illusion of being superior and involved, even while much of what you do remains concealed from them. That is the truth. So these are the 48 laws of power we did from law 21 until 30. So I truly and deeply thank you for joining me in this wonderful conversation today. I hope I've been able to share with you lessons from this book, and the next video as well has to do with the other lessons as well from law 30 up until the end, I guess. But I truly and thank you so much for joining me in this wonderful conversation. Please do make sure that you subscribe to our channel, you like, you comment, and just engage in this conversation. Thank you so much. Bye.